Hi, I'm John White with Frederick and Company, the sponsors of the World of Private Offerings. Did you know that it takes 2,900 gallons of water to make a single pair of blue jeans? Be relieved. Blue jeans are not the primary cause of our water crisis today. Water, as we all know, is a limited resource. Our guest today will not only talk about this worldwide problem, but also a breakthrough technology that will add to our water supply by reusing water we currently waste today through contamination. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce John Grizz Deal, CEO and co-founder of 9Power Clean Water of Golden, Colorado. Welcome, Grizz.
Well, thanks. Appreciate it, John. And thanks for spending some time with me today and all the people that have logged on to learn more about 9Power Clean Water. I want to talk to you today about water and what our company is doing to help the planet make the most of our dwindling resource. As you know, water is the most important thing next to the air we breathe, and it's becoming even more and more difficult to come by. Scientists and researchers have been saying for years that the next big war will be fought over water. Well, no one can really predict if that'll happen. It is known that the total usable freshwater supply for ecosystems and humans is less than 1% of all the freshwater resources. And water use has been growing at more than twice the rate of the population increase in the last century. According to the United Nations, today almost 2 billion people, or 1/5 of the world's population, live in areas where water is scarce. Specifically, water withdrawals are predicted to increase by 50% over the next 20 years in developing countries and 18% in developed countries like the United States. So by 2025, 800 million people will be living in countries or regions with absolute water scarcity. And 2/3 of the world population could be under stress conditions, leading to the displacement of many, many people. Turns out there's only a limited amount of water on the earth, so how do we get more? Well, the most obvious thing is to recycle what we use. All kinds of water can be recycled or treated for reuse. This includes sewage or gray water from populations, seawater, and even industrial contaminated water. While most traditional engineering and construction companies build physically large plants using old technology, our motivation at 9Water has been to design and deploy modular machines that combine innovative technology in a manner that fits into people's existing workflows. The United States government figured this was going to be a problem too, and so they turned to Los Alamos National Laboratory for a solution just over 10 years ago. The LANL team's objectives were to invent the most effective water treatment solution for difficult-to-treat industrial contaminants and then be able to deploy that solution for the lowest possible price. In 2013, 9Power Clean Water was founded, and we were granted an exclusive license to take the Los Alamos technology, turn it into products, and make it available worldwide. 9Power Clean Water put together a team that had the know-how and previous experience to bring together successful laboratory research and development, and we'd done so in the past. Now in 2018, technology has now become commercially available as a mobile, highly efficient, cost-effective, unique solution called the 9Water Treatment Plant. This solution took about 10 years and the assistance from the University of Texas at Austin and New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology to develop, and it required 9Power Clean Water another 4 years to turn it into products that could be built and deployed all over the world. Today, 9Power Clean Water can treat water from the very worst contaminants and make it safely reusable. And we can provide this safely reusable water for pennies on the barrel, much less than what the oil and gas industry is currently paying, which ranges between $2.50 to $10 a barrel just to truck it off site and inject it into the ground. Other vertical markets include the textile industry, chemical factories, coking facilities, and oil and gas refining. I want to talk a little bit about the technology itself. It's fairly simple. It doesn't rely on chemical additives or lots of electricity, unlike other kinds of water treatment technologies. As you can see from the diagram, it's a simple series of tanks that utilize adsorbent, not absorbent, but adsorbent media that were specifically designed at Los Alamos to solve particular problems. For instance, we take out metals and metalloids in one container, and then all the other contaminants are allowed to pass through. This means that you've got a media that's specifically designed to just attract those contaminants it's after. And also it means that this modular approach allows people to implement our products in the way that fits with their workflow, which, as you can imagine, is very important in order to capture different market segments. People would like to leverage their existing investment in machinery. This next picture is a standard skid that'll process anywhere between 3 and 5,000 42-gallon barrels a day. It's interesting, the oil and gas produced water is actually measured in oil barrels, which are 42 gallons per barrel. And all around the world, we use different sort of volume and weight units for oil, natural gas, and water, but we kind of break everything down into either barrels or metric tons. In addition to the physical construction of our water treatment machines, we use specific media that was developed at Los Alamos just for each kind of contaminant that we're trying to remove. So again, that's metals or organic hydrocarbons, scalants, hydrogen sulfide, and even in the future, radioactive materials. The chart that you see here runs the great gamut of everything that we can remove. Oil and grease and suspended solids, those are the things that are floating in the water. They're actually pretty easy to get to. Biological organisms, well, our medias are natural biocides, so we can remove biologic bugs and organisms without the addition of chemicals along the way. We can also not only capture but destroy what are called dissolved phase organic hydrocarbons, and this includes things like benzene, toluene, petroleum distillates, things like that are found in a lot of industrial waters, especially in the oil and gas industry. Then more obvious things like lead and cadmium and chrome, iron, phenols, and various things that cause the absorption of oxygen and actually can cause problems if you take and put that water without proper treatment into a biologic area like a lake or a stream. And our machines eliminate all of those, and we do so for just pennies a barrel. Here's the chart that we actually prepared for one of our Chinese customer prospects. You'll note that our system removes, and almost hard to believe, 99% of all these elements. This is a completely revolutionary advancement in treating water for safe reuse. In most situations, we can assemble a system for our clients by adding or subtracting modules and components based on the amount of water that need to be cleaned. Each system, again, handles between 2 and 3,000 42-gallon barrels a day, but we can gang those to treat up to 50,000 barrels a day. Total cost for treating machines, and our machines range in price from a couple $100,000 all the way up to $500,000 per module, and then you click together those modules to create very large plants. Works out to about 17 to 25 cents a barrel to treat produced water from the oil and gas industry, depending on what's on the water and what they want to do with that water, whether they want to reuse it in the oil and gas process, maybe for fracking, or if they want to use it to increase well pressure, and on the upper end, if they want to be able to discharge it to the natural environment. Now, this is a pretty big savings if you consider the fact that industry is paying between $3 and $6 a barrel just to dispose of this contaminated water. So instead of disposing of the water for $3 to $6 a barrel, we can actually treat it for 17 to 25 cents a barrel. Sorry, you can tell this is live because all my message notifications going on. So sorry, back to the point at hand. So we can do an incredibly effective job, better than most any other water system out there, and do so at a very, very small cost for the user. We sell the whole Nine Water system: machines, setup and validation, training, tech support, and maintenance, customized to address the composition of each client's water and their plant needs. Our machines are simple enough for a single part-time operator to manage all the functions of the machine, and we can also help customers find qualified personnel. One thing we don't, and we're not really interested in doing, is running a service. That's kind of heavy on the human resources department, and we'd much rather focus on being able to manufacture our machines and deploy them around the world without running a service to run the machines. Let's take a look at a couple of the industries that we work in. I've alluded to one in the oil and gas industry, but another one is the textile industry. Globally, there's about 62 billion pounds of textiles dyed each year to make apparel, and that uses up or contaminates about 5 trillion liters of water to do that. Not even including the amount of water it takes to grow fibers like cotton that are then turned into clothing. It takes about 2,900 gallons of water to produce a single pair of jeans. And then based on your kids and your own personal life, it might take that much to clean them on a regular basis too. Well, that water that the textile manufacturing industry uses contains a couple thousand chemicals, and in most developing, completely not necessary. And in places like China and India, over the last year, we've seen a huge rush to stop these kinds of contamination practices, and actually government money from both central governments in China and India, and to a lesser extent in the European Union, are being brought to bear to help companies purchase water treatment equipment. And we plan on getting in on that sort of rush to get green. Another segment that could use our help with its water use and reuse is the oil and gas industry. We talked a little bit about that earlier, but the oil and gas industry generates over 150 barrels of so-called produced water a year. This production or formation water accounts for about 98% of the entire waste stream for the entire oil and gas industry, from exploration all the way through to that gallon of gas at your local gas station. This produced water is 98% of that entire waste stream. Traditionally, this water has been taken, trucked off, and dumped into wells, and that's where that large figure of $3 to $6 a barrel comes from. But again, we can clean this water so it can be reused. It can be used to irrigate crops, for farm animals, and even put into human water consumption sources for 17 to 24 cents a barrel. And again, that beats the pants off of multiple dollars, $2 or $3 for other treatment systems, and as much as $6, $7 just to throw it away. Most people don't realize that fracking, and I know fracking's on everybody's mind, but fracking really doesn't use that much water at all compared to the amount of production water. And you can see in these photos, traditionally this produced water is left to sit around. Maybe it'll evaporate, concentrate some of the contaminants, but in that evaporation process, all those hydrocarbons are released into the air. And so that's something that most states have now prohibited. So the oil and gas industry's only got a couple choices. One is to treat the water, and again, the other is to do a deep well injection. And there's obviously some issues. You've probably heard about earthquakes being caused in Oklahoma and in Colorado and even parts of Texas because of this massive amount of water being put back in the ground. Industry's done a pretty good job at separating oil and gas from water. That's not really the problem. The problem is that they weren't able to get out all of those dissolved and even really fine particles, things again like metals, like arsenic, or the dissolved hydrocarbons like the so-called BTAX class of chemicals. That's benzene, toluene, ethylbenzene, and the xylenes. Those are the most dangerous organic hydrocarbons. There's many instances of when those have been banned around the world, and for good reason too. These BTEX compounds can cause cancer, birth defects, a whole host of other things. It's not just dangerous for humans, but for crops too, because those organic hydrocarbons can be taken up into, say, vegetables or into grains and then consumed by people without them even realizing it. So to help the oil and gas industry manage this volatile problem of way too much dangerous wastewater and what to do with it, which is also just discarded a valuable resource, one that we're running out of, we created this 9-water OG for oil and gas system. So I've said a lot, and sorry, John, I heard you saying it's about time to get off the phone here. I would like to offer the opportunity for any of our listeners and our people viewing today. If you'd like to give us a call anytime, you can do so. You can find us on the internet at www.ixwater.com. You can certainly give John a call or call us directly on 303-277-9520.
Well, thanks, Grizz. That was very a lot of information is packed in there. So, as you saw on the in the screen there, is that basically this is going to be available to everybody who registered, because everybody who saw it today, we have your email, and so we're going to send you a link to this, and also some additional information. Will be, kind of keeping you updated as to the activity of 9Power. I have a few questions that came in during the presentation. On our Grizz right now is is on his way to a sales presentation actually as we speak, and he took off right after he finished here. I think the mobility of the unit. There was a question about the mobility of the unit. As you can see, it is mobile, plus the fact it is modular, and I think that's one of the things they find to be very attractive. Not only can you essentially literally snap these together, and I think that's going to be, as far as we can tell from our analysis, one of the most unique features, that essentially keeps it to be a very competitive product. Another question that came in, I think that we alluded to it in the presentation, are the units available today. The company is basically in an aggressive sales mode today, because again, this is the culmination of 10 years of not only of Los Alamos and the research and development teams over there, but 9Power was founded 4 years ago. So again, it is now transitioning at this particular point to a very aggressive sales position. And Grizz just got back last week from China, which at this particular point they've been almost for the last week overwhelmed with the proposals going back to China, just in the coking industry alone. A question here about the company's ownership. The company is privately held. Frederick & Company is the investment banker for the company. Currently, there is a round of investment at 2.7 is available, and at this particular point, and that kind of dovetails to another question that came in, is how is the company manufacturing? In a lot of cases, these types of companies are very capital intensive. This is Grizz's third company that he's essentially taken to the market out of Los Alamos Technology. The team is excellent at doing what we call, and they have termed, just-in-time manufacturing. So when somebody orders, say for example, a $300,000 unit, is that a 50% deposit is put together, and that unit is assembled, and delivered essentially using the deposit money. And that's a process which is very popular in the industry, but they've perfected it to the way that they can essentially do it in a very timely fashion. So the capital needs beyond this, plus the fact is that the company, and we'll keep you updated as we in future newsletters and emails, the company is building up a sizable backlog right now of orders they're starting to do and closings that are coming in from some of their current prospects. This question comes up a lot, and I think is that because is the water, do they really do it as for human consumption? And I think that what you heard, and Grizz is more than available anytime, like you said, to talk one-on-one about this, but that technology it was designed to make it, with a wide range of uses all the way to human consumption. And I think that again is a new characteristic, that you can literally take that unit up to an oil well, recycle the water, and drink it on site, which is phenomenal, thinking they have to truck all the water off site today and throw it on the ground someplace. I think that's about all our questions. Again, we'll be contacting each and every one of you for any further questions you have, either on the technology. I guess Grizz or the team is more than available at any time to talk about exactly what their prospects are currently in some of the different markets, and also some of the technology if you want to dive deeper into that particular aspect. And we can talk to you about this kind of investment window that we're kind of trying to manage through right now. We feel that one of the things about this company that we're pretty excited about is that it doesn't, once it's not going to absorb a lot of capital, which is good for this round of investment, because we shouldn't see a lot of dilution, and we're looking at exit strategies because of the particular worldwide market and demands we see in countries like China, like Africa, like India, that we anticipate within 3 years that we are going to have a sizable market cap on this. So again, please do not hesitate to call us, and we'll be reaching out to you in the next 2 or 3 days. And I would like to thank you very much for your attendance. And again, we'll keep you abreast of additional live events we'll have in the coming weeks. So thank you very much.